Hey everyone, I just started school this week and I thought I'd do a quick little video about how school's been going and some of the things that I've been going through this week at the start of school. So my classes that I have, I think I told you before, but just to recap, I have History of Spain, Estudio de la Literatura Española, so Literature of Spain, and then Estudio de la Lengua Española, which is like the study of Spanish and the origins and all the phonetic stuff, grammar stuff, and kind of some weird stuff about the language, basically. And then I have beginning French. So this week I started out classes, and Monday morning I had History of Spain with, gosh, there's so many people in that class, 40 plus people in one classroom, sitting in desks that are all lined together. So if you need to get a spot, everyone has to get up for you to shuffle in to get a spot. It was kind of intimidating when he first started talking, and I had to listen really carefully, really closely, in order to understand what he said, which, with the classes being an hour and a half long, made me very tired trying to understand exactly what he was saying, what I needed to understand of what he was saying, and how I need to respond. You know, should I write this down? Was he talking to me as an Erasmus student, or was he talking to Spanish students about things concerning more students that are fully matriculated as, or fully registered as students of Malaga? And then I had literature course, which was about the same. I felt kind of the same. A little lost, I would say, depending on how tired I was at the point and what time of day, if I'd eaten, which is actually a factor and stuff. I'd say I understood in between 40 and 60% of what my professors were saying. Then I ran into kind of a roadblock yesterday, which is already Wednesday. It's only Wednesday, actually. It feels like it's been a 6-day week. It's been a really long week. But yesterday, I had after my literature course, I had my lengua course, my language course. And this course is for Spanish students studying basically like the origins of Spanish, you know, how Spanish works using accents and weird things like that are truly only in Spanish. And the professor in that class told me that I could not be in her class because I'm an exchange student. I've heard of this happening before, and this does happen to exchange students, so I was a little prepared on what to do about it, but I was still a little upset. But I talked to the coordinator of the department, the Filosofía y Letras department, which is the department of my classes, and he said that because in Spain here, sometimes if the class is so large, they have two groups, so they have Group A and Group B, and Group B just has like a different schedule time for meeting. So he told me I could just go to the different scheduled time meeting, so I went to that class, and that class scared me too. I mean, obviously they're all, at the first week, they're all very difficult to understand. So when I went to French this morning, I was expecting the worst, but I was still very excited because I feel as a language learner, I'm always learning Spanish, but I'm really excited to learn a new language and get that feeling again of trying to figure out something new. Well, I'm always figuring out something new, but I wanted to start my French, and I've heard that there's some similarities between the grammar stuff in French as well as Spanish, so it might even help with my Spanish, hopefully. We'll see. But actually, I had French this morning, and something happened. I was very shocked that when I went to class, the professor was speaking pretty much in all French, and she's probably speaking pretty slowly since we're all beginning French for the very first time. Well, not all of us, but a lot of us. And I actually understood her more, and it was easier to understand her than some of my other professors. But she was speaking French, so it didn't make much sense. But that class was so much fun. It reminded me why I learn languages. It reminded me that learning a language is very difficult. It's trying. There's so many new sounds that your mouth has to make that your mouth has never made before. There's just so many new things attached with learning a new language that was very difficult to get into, but then once you get into it, it's so much fun, and you get to use what you learn on a daily basis, especially if you're studying abroad. So I really enjoyed that class today, and I had history again and language again for the second time today. Again today, I felt like I understood a little bit more than yesterday, in between 50 and 60% again of what they were saying. And, taking down notes was something kind of difficult because you have to really pay attention to what's really important and to take down notes on that, and then what is the professor adding on to that, like his style, like what's he adding on to, explaining, for example, the history, explaining the modern era, what's he explaining about this that I need to write down, and what's he explaining, or just talking as, in general. So that is a little bit difficult, and that's something, and the reason why I'm making this video is because that's something that I don't think a lot of exchange students pay attention to when they study abroad. They don't pay attention, they don't really, when they choose to study abroad, was what I'm saying. They don't really think about, how will I understand what they're saying? How will I be able to comprehend what they're saying? How will I even be able to learn from what they're saying? And take down notes and understand stuff and be able to use that on a test or a quiz or do homework and stuff like that. Which, it's kind of a good thing they don't think about it, because if you do, you might get a little scared and decide not to do it. It's so worth it, even though it's hard. And I don't know how it's going to work out yet. I don't know when I'm going to be able to understand more. It could take a long time, depending, some of the teachers have different accents. They talk about very difficult things sometimes. Like today in my language course, we talked about when to use an accent in Spanish and when not to use an accent. We were talking about diphthongs and diphthongo in Spanish. Diphthongs and triphthongs and all this stuff that I never really paid attention to in English. And maybe if I had, it would help me here. So I'm going to go back and review a little bit to help me understand. But I guess what I want to say is that when you study abroad, I didn't realize that there was so much to do with understanding. There's so much that when you go to class, you need to understand and comprehend, and you're expected to be, like regular students. And hopefully, if you're lucky, you have professors who will notice, or you'll talk to them, and they will know that you're an exchange student, and they will have a little bit of pity on you and maybe help you out or offer to talk to you outside of class and things like that. But to try and help myself understand better what's going on in the class, I've been trying some of the techniques I've been trying, which we'll see if they work. Some of the things I've been trying are speaking only Spanish, even with my English speaking friends, because maybe you can probably tell right now, but I'm not speaking English very well because I just got out of a class in Spanish, and my brain, the language, it's hard to explain, but the languages get a little mixed up. You are trying to think and translate in Spanish, and like, you're not only trying to understand it, what they're saying, what the professor's saying, you're trying to translate it in your head, or at least think in Spanish, so you know what they're saying so that you can understand it. There's a whole nother layer of things going on that you need to think about. There's so much, the thought process to going to class takes so much extra effort than I had thought. I mean, I knew it was going to take effort, but after this I have much more respect for exchange students as a whole. But some of the things I'm trying to do to help that, so my brain can think in Spanish. If you find yourself sitting in class thinking, and you talk to yourself like in English if your native language is English. But you can't do that when the professor is speaking Spanish. You have to think in Spanish. So in order to think in Spanish, I've been trying to speak in Spanish with all my English-speaking friends, which kind of bothers them, but hey, we're in Spain, we need to speak Spanish. Before class this morning, I mean, it kind of helped that I couldn't sleep, but before class this morning, I watched the news on an internet website. I watched the Madrid news for about 15 minutes, and my brain was jump-started. I was ready to listen a little bit to the sounds of Spanish because, like I said before, with a new language, there's different sounds, completely different sounds. You don't know how certain words are pronounced, especially if you don't know the word. You don't even know what they're trying to say. All you hear is the sound. So if you get used to hearing the sounds and looking at the words that you're supposed to understand, that can help. And another thing that I'm doing, which I think a lot of exchange students should do, and I think it's just a Spanish student tradition, is after class, if you can, talk to, like I've been talking to my friend and asking him, like in Spanish, I'm talking to him in Spanish, asking him to help me recap the notes, make sure I got everything. And if you have someone that's willing, that's patient and willing to do that for you, you can also get tutors a lot of the time in schools that have the same classes as you and can help you with things. But if you have someone that can do that, that can mean a huge difference. We have homework today in the Lengua course, and some of the stuff I didn't really understand, and once I recapped the notes with my Spanish friend, once he explained it to me a little better, I got it so much better, and hopefully I'll be able to do the homework. I'm also going to rewrite my notes myself so I can better understand what's going on. Also, if in class you have a bunch of words that you don't really understand, if it's a word that is completely tripping you up, like you don't get anything without understanding that word, which is kind of unlikely, write it down and look it up, have a dictionary with you and look it up in class. But if you can help it, try not to look up, in my case, I think so. I mean, there's probably others that think differently, but I think that if you don't understand a word, write it down on the margin, save it for later after the class, look it up, and go back through the notes. Because that time you spend looking at your dictionary or, your phone to help, your phone dictionary or whatever, you lose what the professor is saying again. So not only are you lost on that word, but you're lost on the next couple points, and it could be important. So that's just some of the things that I've been dealing with. Hopefully I'll keep you updated, and maybe we'll see where my language journey will take me, and hopefully I'll understand better and be able to get what's going on more in my classes. So I'll keep you posted, and hopefully some of you find this helpful if you ever want to study abroad. So thanks for watching. Bye.